Good evening to everyone and a very warm welcome to the London Faith and Belief Community Awards. This is an annual celebration which recognises the work of unsung heroes from across London's rich and diverse faith and belief communities. It's really lovely to see a mix of familiar but also of new faces this evening. A very warm welcome to you all. My name's Evie. I work in the Education and Learning team at the Faith and Belief Forum, and I'm very honoured to be hosting you all this evening with my wonderful co-host, who I'll introduce shortly. For those of you who have only recently been introduced to us, the Faith and Belief Forum has worked for over 20 years to build good relations between people of different faiths and beliefs, including non-religious beliefs. And we do this by working in schools, in universities, and in community settings. So I'm really lucky in that my work in the schools team involves spending a lot of time with teachers and students across London and speaking to them about issues of identity and of diversity and of community. So I'm very thrilled to be a part of this celebration, which hopes to recognise a small part of the work that you and others like you do in making London a better place to live. You know better than I do that opportunities for young people and the people in their lives to participate positively in their communities can really change their lives. And we'll hear at the rest of the evening about how the same applies for people of all ages. But first, I would like to formally introduce my co-host, Reverend Nims Obunge.
Thank you. Thanks, Amy. In my script, it says, my name is Nims, but you've already heard that. So I want to start with this. It's not scripted. If you have your mobile phone, first of all, turn it to silent, then I'll tell you what next to do. It's great to be part of such a wonderful group of amazing Londoners. And just a little bit about myself. I happen to be a minister of a church in Tottenham, and those of you who support Tottenham Spurs, right, okay, we won't script that, edit that bit on the video. But seriously, I also have the privilege of starting a charity called the Peace Alliance, and I've had that responsibility for the last 20 years. This afternoon, I actually went to an organization called, in fact, I won't tell you about them, I'll tell you what they do. They deal with young people who have been affected by online bullying, sexual exploitation. And the idea is to get young people to feel safe on the internet. And after I went there, I went to another organization of young people in Enfield from a Christian housing association. And all they wanted to do was to see that their lives were improved by the services provided by faith organizations. And that's why tonight is important, because many young people look up to you for the work you do, and I really want to thank you for that. Over the last 11 years, I have had the privilege of serving as a deputy lieutenant to her Lord Lieutenant. I will not go any further because I'm being cuffed down by... I'm being cuffed down because I say lieutenant and he says lieutenant, and that is an ongoing, every year we have this conversation. So those of you who were here last year or the first year, you would know that there is an ongoing lieutenant issue. That said, that is going to be part of the evening's debate. It's a great honor to support this event and great opportunity to be networking. Talking about networking, I had the privilege of speaking to Allah, and I got to discover that he has cheese and jam on toast, and he had that for breakfast this morning. I bet you don't know what your neighbor had for breakfast this morning, but he's told me how to make this cheese. He makes the cheese at home. I might tell you the recipe at the end of tonight, so watch out for a special Allah recipe on cheese and jam. So, that said, we come from such diverse backgrounds, which is evident, especially after he described the cheese. Let's make tonight special. Let's make new friends. Let's make cheese. It's a great way to be connected in our city. And for those of you who would like to tweet or share pictures, we encourage you to go to hashtag LFBCA19. I'll repeat that. Hashtag LFBCA19. Do some social media hashtagging. And at this point in time, I think I'm going to invite you back to continue the conversation.
Thank you. So tonight, as you know, we'll be recognising Londoners who make our city a welcoming place for people of all faiths and beliefs. This would not be possible without Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Greater London and his Council on Faith, who have been with us since the inception of the awards. And I would also at this point like to thank our sponsors who have made tonight's event possible: Dangor Education, the Penny Appeal, the London Central Mosque Trust, and the Mayor's Office. Due to their support, we'll be awarding 40 inspiring projects who work tirelessly for their communities for harmony and peace.
So because of this amazing nominations that we have this year, we'll also be celebrating 21 inspiring individuals and recognizing an additional 52 amazing projects. This work that they've done is varied and is delivered by projects and individuals that we'll be recognizing tonight. And it's vast, innovative, and the people here tonight have one thing in common. And you know what it is? We're all Londoners. So ladies and gentlemen, we want to show you a short film on the screen right behind me. Sit back, enjoy, and let's celebrate each one of you. Thank you.
London, a city where people from every religion and culture live as neighbours.
So many different faces, languages, hopes and dreams, and we're all mixed in together.
But our communities face many challenges.
Just because we're squashed into a tube carriage doesn't mean we're connected.
London powers over 24,000 voluntary organisations, many of them inspired by a faith or belief.
We know that you are the people making London a place of belonging.
So we're going to hear from just 4 of the projects who agreed to share their story.
We facilitate workshops and we facilitate, like we're doing small programs where we help mothers with language barriers. So we do SL classes in our centre. We do parenting programs in our centre.
When I deeply got involved with them was about a year ago, when there were a lot of knife crimes going on and there were like 3 or 4 kids dying on the streets, 5 and 6 kids dying on the streets.
There was no support in prison systems. I think when we did our research, we were the only charity that was facilitating workshop in prison.
There's a reason why it's called Mothers and Child. Because no mother deserves to lose her child at a young age. And no mother should bury her child.
I love London. I can't leave. You know, if someone said to me, "Oh, just move somewhere else," I don't think I can. I just love the diversity that's available in this country.
I feel that connection towards London through this organisation.
And being involved with different organisations
as
well. Through the Believe and Do Good campaign, we visited the elderly home in South Woodford. And you could see how lonely they are, and for them to just have, just to someone to speak to. Not for any cause, not to wish them a happy birthday, but just to ask them how their day is. And to just come in there on a normal day and just hand out roses to them. I mean, the smile on their face was enough. To put a smile on someone else's face, especially in our religion, it's a deed to smile at someone when they smile back at you. And it was really amazing.
From a personal level to the community, I think there are many people like myself who are struggling to be understood. Faith Forum does propagate a better understanding and better interaction.
I've benefited because I've learnt so much about how other faiths would do the same thing, but I've also been able to have the opportunity to contribute on providing the Sikh perspective.
In practically all of the faith walks, we make it a point to meet at each faith centre. And the topic chosen will be discussed by each faith. On one such occasion, I was really moved when we met at an Islamic center where the Imam gave his perspective on peace. For me to see the Imam and the Rabbi sharing the same platform and express such friendliness and comradeship, and again give their own perspectives on different aspects, that to me was extremely moving.
Because of my sexuality, I've had a really bad experience, a relationship with religion, because it's been used to, what I say, dehumanize, people like myself, all in the name of God. But I think the House of Rainbow was, I used to describe House of Rainbow as that safe haven, where you could actually come in regardless of your sexuality and still feel like your feelings are valid. Regardless of your gender identity, your color, your whatever, you are valid. And I think to have an organization that just does that, you have no idea how much it goes in validating people's lived experience.
Wow, how lovely to hear stories of just 4 projects recognised through our awards. But in the room, we have over 120 other projects. And tonight is all about discovering more about the work to make London a place of belonging for all. And of course, belonging is one of the key words here. And we all know some of the ways in which people can face exclusion within this city, as highlighted in the video. So, socioeconomic exclusion, at the moment, child homelessness is at a 12-year high. Discrimination and violence based on race, religion, immigration status. Nearly half of LGBT students in schools facing being bullied, and transphobic hate crimes being up by 37% in the last year. Disability hate crime up by 12% in the last year. And a loneliness epidemic affecting 1.5 million older people, as well as people from all walks of life. And all the while, unhelpful media narratives, political discourse, and a lack of representation in the corridors of power serving to further divide and isolate us from each other. These times present great challenges for all of us, which is why it's vital for us to be recognizing and highlighting some of the stories of individuals and groups who strive day in, day out for both longer-term combating of some of these social ills, as well as positive remedies and solutions which focus on bringing people together, affording people spaces to be themselves and reach their potential, and equipping communities with the tools to protect and empower the people that they are comprised of. What we're celebrating tonight is people like you who, inspired by your faith, your belief, or your values, commit to implementing these projects, often in the face of difficult climates and under-resourcing. Your projects offer the rest of us hope. They bring about unity, and they invite ordinary people to honour and share with the city the aspects of their identity that they value and that they are proud of. The variety of responses to the categories you'll hear about tonight is what makes London the city that we want to live in. These annual awards are one way in which the Faith and Belief Forum intends to give this meaningful and grassroots social action the recognition and the support that it really deserves. And to offer a keynote speech, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Lord Lieutenant of Greater London, Sir Ken Elisa. It's really fantastic to have the support of Sir Ken Elisa and his Council on Faith, which was established to promote this kind of work. Sir Ken has a really important vision. It's great to have you here. And join me in welcoming Sir Ken to the stage.
Thank you both very much, and welcome everybody. It's wonderful to see so many people here this evening. Thank you as well, both of you, for setting the scene on why we're doing what we're doing this evening, and thank you to the Faith and Belief Forum for making all of this possible. I want to say a few words, if I could, about actually, we live in quite difficult times, so I've got a couple of serious points that I want to make about our difficult times, but I thought I ought to set the mood by lightening it a little bit from what I want to say in a moment. by empathising with those of you whose phones have just rung in the room. It's deeply embarrassing. Nim said turn it off. You thought you'd turn it off and then the thing rings. I would normally have been grumpy about that, but 2 weeks ago, the Dean of Westminster Abbey retired, and his last service was in Westminster Abbey, at the lovely the Dean John Hall. And in his last service, I was there as Lord Lieutenant, dressed in my finery, sitting in the seat that I normally sit in, just in the entrance to the choir, next to the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Cressida Dick, and then other dignitaries along the row. And it was quite a serious service, I have to say, because John retired at whatever particular service it was when his retirement happened, rather than having a party retirement. So we're sitting there and we're going. It was a sung Eucharist, which is a fairly dry evening, I have to say. So we're going through a fairly dry sung Eucharist, and the choir had just begun to sing when my phone rang. Now, I have a Huawei phone with a brilliant ringtone, except in Westminster Abbey in the middle of the choir singing, when I still had a Huawei phone, but the ringtone wasn't so positive. Anyway, I managed to get my hand on the phone. I knew it was mine from the moment it began to ring. I managed to get my hand on it, get it turned off almost immediately. Nobody noticed. The choir carried on singing. Dean was a long way down by the altar. Everything was fine. About 7 hours later, when the service finally finished, we were getting up to go, and the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Cressida Dick, said, "What a wonderful service," which is what you have to say at the end of a service. And I said, oh, wasn't it? Bracket, quite long though, wasn't it? And she said, "Yes, and a shame about your phone." And she said, "But at least you managed to turn it off quickly." And I said, "Cressida, my phone? I should be telling everybody it was your phone." So I offer that to everybody. If your phone goes off the rest of this evening, just look astonished at the person sitting next to you as you turn it off. Now, to serious matters. Why are we all here this evening? Well, obviously, our wonderful audience is here this evening because you're hoping to win something. Very wise. My colleagues from the Lieutenancy are here because you want to see your friends and family, I'm sure, and others winning things. But there's a really serious purpose for this evening. And so to lower the tone, if I may, for a moment, just to focus on the really serious purpose. As the Queen's representative in Greater London, I have a focus on social inclusion. And my argument for social inclusion is quite simple. If you imagine, those of you who can remember Venn diagrams from school, a big circle that describes 8.5 million people, the residents of London, and then inside it a slightly smaller circle that describes those who feel that London is theirs, they belong to London, it's available to them. And inside a much smaller circle which represents the people who embody London, the Queen, the Chelsea pensioners, and so on. But the gap between the first two circles are the people who don't feel that London belongs to them. So they live here, but they don't really feel that it belongs to them. And we heard them just listed there. And it ranges at one end from serious criminals to the other end, old people who are left alone and nobody visits them and talks to them. And in between is a whole range of people. Children in schools who never leave their borough. Children who never leave their estates. People who are just not enjoying what's great about London. And I am focused for as long as I'm Lord Lieutenant, which will be until 2026, on trying to reduce the gap between those two circles by helping those who feel excluded to feel included. And I'm doing it with a framework, you can find it on the Lieutenancy website, which stands on three firm legs. The three things that I think describe an individual most. Now, think about yourself for a minute. If I asked you to list the adjectives which describe you personally, there are probably 50 adjectives. But the three that I think are most important are the following. First of all, your occupation. What do you do? How do you contribute to the general wealth of the nation? Are you a volunteer? Are you an employee? Are you an employer? But what do you contribute? The second is heritage. Where do you live? Where did you grow up? Where is your heritage from, your family's heritage and so on? They are descriptive points. And the third, and the one we're celebrating tonight, is your faith. And if you have no faith, which is, I think, an odd position to have, but if you have no faith, even that is a defining characteristic as opposed to not being relevant. But tonight we're talking about people who do have faith, for whom your faith, your beliefs, our faith, our beliefs are important. They guide us, they help us in times of difficulty, they help us in times of strength. Those three legs then are where my strategy is focused. And what I'm looking for are programs and activities which will help people within London, using those, standing, if you will, on those three legs, to find common cause to do things together. And so tonight, having so many different faiths, all represented here this evening, makes me enormously happy. But what you, our audience, will get to see this evening is what other people of other faiths and your own faith are doing to help other people. Because all of us here in this auditorium are volunteers on my occupation point, trying to make the community a better place, which is a wonderful thing, and it is what binds us together. Now, in these difficult times, it's particularly important that we focus on binding the community together, that we celebrate contributions that people make to help other people. One of the many privileges that I have as Lord Lieutenant is the responsibility to present medals, particularly British Empire medals, on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. And we typically have an investiture of about 35, 40 people and their families, and every one of those people has done something for a long period of time to help the community without ever expecting any sense of reward. They've done it because that's the human condition. They've done it for whatever their set of personal values are. I had an investiture, I ran an investiture 2 weeks ago, and there was a Buddhist priest in the audience who'd received a British Empire medal. There was a Hindu gentleman who received a British Empire medal, and there was a white working-class Englishman, Christian, who for 87 years has been ringing bells in his local church. A huge range of different things, all bound by one common factor, which is a desire to help other people, not expecting a reward. And tonight that is what this is about. Although you're all going to receive, I hope, some recognition and reward this evening, that isn't why you do what you do. But the second piece of what you'll be getting this evening is a realization of how many other people are like you. And I know in a small charity, when you're focused on delivering the service, finding the money for the next week and the next month and so on, it's very easy to feel alone and isolated. And bringing everyone together this evening to recognize the common cause, the common factors and so on, is, we know from experience now, is a really big recharger of a charity's batteries and a charity's leaders' batteries. So you'll hear what other people are doing, you will charge your batteries, and I hope make you feel even prouder of what you're doing yourself, and we will be thanking you and recognizing you. But I said at the beginning, we live in difficult times. We live in very difficult times because all the good things that I've just been talking about stand in contradiction to the people who are trying to divide us. There are lots of people who rush to the media to say negative things about each other, to try to find division, because with division comes power, and it's bad power, not good power. We are the antidote. This evening is the antidote to that. What I need all of you to do is a big favour for me. Apart from enjoying this evening, which I have no doubt you will do, I would like you to take one or two key messages from what you see and hear this evening, and then tell as many people as you can, for as long as you have breath in your body, about those messages. One of those messages is the point I've just made about what other people are doing in like-minded, like-driven ways to yourselves. But the other message is one that I've stolen from the vicar of Christchurch Priory. Now, I was invited by a very good friend of mine, who's the High Sheriff of Dorset, to go to a church service in Christchurch Priory. Much of this story is quite complicated. Just let me jump over why I was doing that. Just suffice to say, it was a wonderful occasion. I got to do one of the readings, but the particular service was it's called the legal service, and these were where all the judges of the Western Circuit went to church to remind everybody of values and principles and so on before they went on their circuit to the courts around the southwest of the UK. My friend is the Dorset High Sheriff, and so he was there in his High Sheriff's uniform, but the High Sheriffs from the other counties, so Devon and Cornwall and so on, were also there. So there was a lot of finery, and the judges were all in their robes and wigs and so on, in a beautiful priory, which is 1,000 years old. So it would have been a moving occasion without the people in their costumes. It was much more moving to see them all dressed that way. And the whole focus was on justice and truth, because that's obviously the purpose of the judiciary. And so it was a fantastic service if you think about the heritage point that I was making a few moments ago. Also a fantastic one if you think about the faith point that I was making a few moments ago. And I suppose if you're interested in judges and being judged, it's quite important on the occupation bit. But what really struck me, and will live with me to my dying day, was the sermon given by the Vicar of Christchurch. Now, I speak personally at this moment. My usual reaction to sermons goes something like this. The priest gets into the position of giving the sermon, and I perk up, because there'll be something interesting happening now, and I'm not going to have to sing for a period of time, which is a great relief to the people sitting on either side of me. And the preacher will get started. They generally, the good ones at least have a punchy opener. So I get focused on this thing, and I think this could be really, really good. And I listen, and it's quite good, and then it gets to be less good, and then it gets to be not very interesting. And then there's a period of somnolence when I sleep through it. And if it's a good vicar, they come to the punching point, and they'll get the punch message across, and that will get my attention. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and I start to read the service sheet or whatever, or clear my voice ready for the singing or whatever's going to happen. This one was true to type, and I'm embarrassed to say I told this to the vicar, who looked deeply hurt, but the good news is there's a positive end. So he starts off with a great big opening statement about difficult times and division in the nation, and there'd been some Brexit event that morning, so he talked about that, so that was quite good. I'm actually 100% on focus. And then he connected what he just said with the two readings, and actually it was a bit of a flimsy link, I think, and I began to drift off slightly. And then he took it he extrapolated it to the third point, which didn't really seem to me to connect back, and I was down in the dozing period of the sermon. And in this case, I was alert, though, because all these people who would send me to prison. So I was reading the programme and looking at things and finding jolly interesting facts about Christchurch Priory. And he said, before I was a priest, he said, I was a professional musician. And somehow that was a bam moment that got me right back up to 100% focus, because he didn't look like a professional musician, albeit a lapsed one. And he said, and there was a big lesson, I'm now quoting him, that I learned as a professional musician, which has huge application to life in our country and our city and our world today. So I thought, well, that's going to be a big stretch, isn't it? He's managed to just about get the Bible into what he said at the beginning. How is he going to get being a professional musician into Brexit and all the other things that are happening? And he said the following. He said, well, as a musician, what we focused on all the time was delivering harmony. He said, and harmony is a really important point. He said, because a characteristic. He said, because in harmony, all the musicians don't play the same instrument. They don't play the same tunes. They don't even play the same notes. The trumpets don't look down on the violins. The timpani don't look up to the organist. They're all equal with different views, different positions, different motivations, different instructions, playing in harmony. He said, and what we have to do in our country is not say, I'm a Remainer, I'm a Lever, I'm a something, I'm a trumpet, I'm a drum. What we have to do is to find ways of behaving in harmony. I think that's a useful and very powerful point. Anyway, I think it's particularly important for us this evening, focusing as we are on faith. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're all very welcome to be here this evening. I look forward to our celebrations. But the one word I would like you to think about, and much more importantly, I would like you to share as widely as you can when you leave this evening, is in this country, in this city, let's start to operate in harmony and not in discord. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. So Ken, you caused me to want to sing, to demonstrate a level of harmony. But that said, that might be a challenge for some and a blessing for others. So I will restrain myself. However, that statement about harmony reminded me last year when I made a statement about a leader from the London Islamic community who mentored me. And I didn't realize his daughter was in the audience. And I didn't realize he had passed on. So at the end of the event, I got told that he had passed on. And that shocked me. But in remembrance of him, I want to remind us of what Mr. Ali told me. He said, as a group of multi-faith individuals, we represent a bouquet. And we all have different colors. But the beauty about our diversity is that we are individuals coming together, and dare I say, I will add, with harmony. So thank you very much, Sir Ken, for giving us an excellent speech. Now, can I invite us to turn to the main event as we recognize the 40 projects who work tirelessly for their local communities. And to announce our award winners today, please welcome none other than Bushra Nasir, who is a Deputy Lieutenant. Bushra, the stage is yours.
Good evening, Lord Lieutenant, Deputy Lord Lieutenants, honoured guests and friends. It's been my honour to be the chair of the Faith Subcommittee organising this event and the chairman of the judging panel. We are very humbled that so many people actually put in the nominations, because this event wouldn't have happened if there hadn't been the nominations. And I was at a meeting a few years back, and some of you will remember on the Faith Council, after our first event, they said, are there any more nominations to come through? We've done a good event, let's leave it at that. And we've been amazed that so many other nominations have been coming through. 128 completed nominations came through, and we had the difficult task of picking the award winners. The judging was done individually by the 7 judges, and then the information collated. We used 3 criteria in judging the nominations. Did the nomination increase a sense of belonging for overlooked or under-supported groups? Did the nomination build bridges and increase life chances through engagement and education and well-being? And the most important one was to do with impact. Did that nomination have impact across their communities? I would like to thank my fellow judges who gave up their valuable time in going through the nominations and really putting in hours and hours of work that required. I would like to ask them to stand, just so that they could be recognised. Babul Sethia, DL, Dr. Sheila Gwawal, DL, Dr. Mustafa Abul-Hassan. From the Faith Forum, Ben Shapiro, Siobhan Anderson, and Anthea Sturgo. Thank you very much indeed. And before we start the awards, I'd just like to really recognise one individual. Lots of individuals have been involved in organising this event, but really one of the backbone of this event has been the administrator, the organiser, the person who's been running around, and it's Jessica Hazarati. Thank you so much. I'd like to start with the first category, which is the health and well-being category. Thank you very much.
We'd just like to invite Director of the Faith and Belief Forum, Phil Champagne, and Sir Ken Elisa back to the stage to present this category. Organisations in this category reduce social isolation and improve the quality of life of Londoners by supporting vulnerable people from different backgrounds. And we will now applaud 8 projects. Thank you, Bishop.
It's a great honour for me to ask the different members from the Health and Wellbeing group to come forward. The first is the British Islamic Medical Association, BIMA. Next is Curtis St Joseph's. One group that sent their apologies, but we would like to recognise them, is Chiswick. They're not here tonight. So a round of applause for Chiswick, who have... Next is the Christian Kitchen. The Croydon Association for Pastoral Care in Mental Health. The London Non-Religious Pastoral Care Team. Mile Gal Multicultural Community Project. And the last but not least, but in fact the winner of this category is Grow Baby Kingston Vineyard. Yes, you're going to come. Thank you. Very welcome.
In 2003, when we started Kingston Vineyard and Grow Baby at the prompting of the Lord with 2 plastic boxes and our side shed, we had no idea where our journey would take us. Here we stand today, having served over 25,000 Londoners since our start, given out £55,000 worth of Christmas presents to children in Kingston and Richmond Borough, with a packed schedule of events for our teenage parents, our youngest of whom is 13, breastfeeding, skills for life, provision of antenatal classes, provision of baby clothing and equipment, English classes and parenting classes. Last week, one of my team and myself went to meet with 9 London boroughs' adoption social workers to talk about a new parenting course that we've written for children with sensory processing disorders and attachment disorders. It has been the greatest privilege of our lives to serve London and our Lord, and we are extremely honoured to be here today, and we thank you all, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Bushra. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our second group of award winners. These projects are recognized for their work inspiring London's youth. Projects within this category work with young people to encourage leadership and participation in their local community and connects them with opportunities beyond their neighborhoods. I would really like to thank Dr. Ahmad Al-Dubayan, who unfortunately is not with us. He's the Director General of the London Central Mosque. and he is the sponsor of this category. Ladies and gentlemen, we applaud the 7 projects that we're about to recognize. Bushra.
Thank you so much indeed. I would like to call up now on stage the first, the Angel Delight Community Centre. Next is Jagruti, which means awakening. Next is the Maternal Aid Association, MAR, which means mother. Next is Moshi House, London. Next is Running with the Vision Project. Next is Triangles. And the judges' winner for this category is the Basics of Sikhi Sunday Katha. Would you like to come up on stage? Welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. With God's grace, we're privileged to win this award in the category of inspiring the youth. This is a project that is very dear to my heart as a employee of Everything's 13. That's the wider charity. Basics of Sikhi Sunday Katha. Katha is the Punjabi word for discourse. It's very dear to me because 7 years ago I went to a talk. I went to this Katha in Southall in West London. And you get an amazing feeling of love and fulfillment when you go to one of these, when you go to the Gurdwara anyway, the Guru's door, the Sikh temple. And I'm very blessed to be part of this charity, and the charity on whole is the project basically is a project wider to the charity Everything's 13. We have 4 main projects: Basics of Sikhi, an educational program which aims to demystify, uplift and inspire Sikhs and non-Sikhs to live better lives. Just by a show of hands, when people go to the Gurdwara, does everybody know by a show of hands? Do people know that you are entitled to a free meal by a show of hands? Does everybody know that? It's quite a big percentage. But did you guys know that as well as food for the body, you also get food for the heart and soul? By a show of hands, did people know that in the Sikh temple, in a Gurdwara? Not so many, which is really good. This is one of the main reasons of the Base of Sikhi Sunday Katha, because when you go there and you listen to the history and the philosophy and the beautiful stories about our forefathers and the Sikh philosophy, it's amazing, and you do leave Southall on that day. You do leave the temple on that day with a real sense of fulfillment within your heart and soul. So my only wish to you guys is, my only request to you guys is that you do please, I invite you, please come down to Sunday. Please do come down to the Gurdwara on Sundays. It's Sri Guru Singh Sabha Gurdwara in Southall, Park Avenue. It's right by the train station, so there's no transport issues. Please come by, please speak to us or any of the volunteers. We'd be happy to speak to you in more detail, and we would love to speak to you and see if you get that feeling of fulfillment and that warmth in your heart and soul when you come to the temple. And it's all by God's grace. And my only final words are congratulations to everybody here, because you're all winners. And by God's grace, we're all trying to walk forward in this world and hopefully, spread love and peace and harmony. So thank you very much.
Now to introduce a very exciting category which was created for this year's awards due to the support of the Mayor of London's Communities and Social Policy team. Inspired by the Mayor of London's #BehindEveryGreatCity campaign, this category will celebrate the achievements and contributions of women from all walks of life who make London great. I would like to invite Debbie Weeks-Berner, Deputy Mayor for Social Integration, Social Mobility and Community Engagement, who is sponsoring the award, to share a few words of encouragement before we meet our award winners. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good evening, and thank you for that very warm welcome. I am really delighted to be here with you again. This is the second year now that I've been able to be part of the London Faith and Belief Community Awards, and I'm really delighted that I'm here to represent the Mayor and to talk a little bit about the awards that we are about to give to some amazing winners. But before I do that, I just wanted to say very quickly just how important it is to us to spend time with all of you and congratulate you for all that you do. Everyone across all of the categories this evening are winners. So to both nominees and to winners, congratulations. But also I just wanted to say just generally how important we think the work that you do is to the work that we do at City Hall, but just generally to the work that I've been doing since I've been in the role. I was here last year and I had only been in the role for 2 weeks. And you gave me such a warm welcome when I was here that it managed to really kickstart a really good and positive and productive year for me. So I celebrated my first full year of being a deputy mayor last Tuesday. Much to my son's disappointment, there was no cake, there were no balloons. I sent out a tweet to just say how lovely I have found the whole experience, but he was deeply disappointed. So I think it's actually really fitting that I'm here with you again to kind of have you be part of my anniversary. So thank you so much for that. But also, part of the work that I do is about making sure that we champion the work of faith and belief organisations. And I think it's important for us to take moments to reflect on the contribution that you make, because not only do you provide opportunities for people to come together from a range of different backgrounds, you tackle social isolation, you also champion and support some of our most vulnerable communities, and you provide those who often can feel a little bit lost with a real sense of purpose and just a general sense of support. So I want to tell you a very brief story. So last time I was here, I talked about my dad. My mother and father, they came to London, one in the 50s and one in the 60s. And they were the only ones of their sibling group to come to London. So everyone else went and settled in different parts of the UK. And they turned to their local church for support. That church gave them so much support, so much guidance. It provided respite when, in those initial few months of them settling in London, they found it quite difficult in their interactions with others. And they loved that welcome and that support that they got so much that they have stayed with the very same church ever since. And my dad is 85 now, and you may have heard me tell this story, and I apologise if I have told you before. He's 85. Every single Sunday, he climbs a really rickety metal staircase in the church to play the organ for this church in northwest London. He's been playing that organ for 50 years, and my mother is deeply irritated by how long he's been spending playing this organ, because actually she has only had him sit with her on the pew for 1 week since they've been in this country together, and that's because he's either been playing the organ, being a church warden, running the choir, or doing something else. So she was really grateful when we came along to sit on that pew with her. But all I want to say about that is that I don't think that they can put into words just how supportive and helpful they found that welcome and that support that church gave them. And I can't put into words how grateful I am to that church, to that community that has built up around my parents. Now that they are, they're older Londoners, and the support that they get from that church is so important. So I just wanted to tell you that story, because sometimes the personal examples of what you do every day, often without realising it, I think is really important. So I wanted to share that with you. And I also just want to very briefly say how impressed I am by all of the winners that I'm shortly to meet. On the back of the Behind Every Great City campaign that we ran last year, which was celebrating the centenary of women getting the right to vote, we developed this award. And it's an award to celebrate those organisations who provide support to women, either in advocacy, education, training, providing that listening ear. And all of these organisations have done amazing work supporting women in their local communities. And I'm really delighted that I'm going to get the chance to meet the 8 winners. But can I just say to all of you, you're all winners in our mind. You're all amazing. You all do great work. Please do frequently, where you can, take the time to pat yourselves on the back for the work that you do, because if you don't, often no one else but us will do that. So thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. That was wonderful. And I remember last time when you spoke, you'd only been in the post a few weeks and you were quite nervous. So we're going to make this an annual event for you to come and visit us. So in the category of supporting women, it's my pleasure to ask, first of all Women's Network to come forward. Next, Here Women Foundation. Next is Hillingdon Asian Women Group. Next is Nissa Nisham. Hello there. Lovely to see you. Next is the Roshni 2 project. The next is Silam Conversation. Next is the Women in Mosques Development Programme. And the judges' recognised project in this category is the Muslima Sports Association.
Thank you for this award. It's always an honour to win and be recognised for such an award, but it's always even more honour in such prestigious company and in front of my former head teacher. The Muslim Sports Association was established in 2014. We started with only one basketball session, and we only had a few ladies turning up for many, many weeks. And from that, we've gradually grown to now delivering over 15 sessions to over 200 participants a week. And not only do we give them that safe space to come and participate, but we also have a growing number of volunteers. And we've done their FA Level 1 coaching for football, for British fencing, for badminton and tennis. So we're growing the workforce as well and giving them employability opportunities. And it's always a pleasure to see our ladies in either Time Out magazine or the BBC Sports headlines, or some feature in one newspaper or television. So it gives us great satisfaction when we've made such strides for British Muslim women. and the press is positive about them and not showing a negative or vulnerability that is so often seen for Muslim women in Britain. So it's always an honour to win something of this immense honour. So
thank you very much, and really thank you to all our volunteers, without whom we couldn't do any of this. Thank you.
That's one of my students as
well. Debbie, before you go, I want to thank you for sponsoring this award. I think it's great that we have this first category of just women. I think that's really special, so let's appreciate that, folks. I think it's really special. The other thing I do want to do before you leave is thank you for second year of telling us about Dad. And because that speaks volumes. You make us remember that family is important. And we cannot play down the role of families and the impact it has on our lives. So thank you for keeping family in focus in your speech. We appreciate you. We know you need to leave, but thank you ever so much. Thank you. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to more awards, we're going to take a short entertainment break. Just in case you thought I was the entertainment, I have something better. I'm delighted to welcome Converse Dance Crew to take the stage, and Converse Dance Crew is not me again. They're a dance community from Barking who allow dancing to do the talking. Wow, that's exciting. They have places first at Boroughs. They have places first at Boroughs United 2018 and performed on platforms such as Wembley Arena. So this is not quite Wembley Arena, but I do want to say that you're in for a treat. Converse, you guys ready? Ladies and gentlemen, Converse Dance Crew, make them feel welcome.
If you feel insignificant, you better think again. Better wake up, because you're part of something way bigger. You're part of something way bigger. Not just a speck in the universe, not just some words in a Bible verse. You are the living word. You're part of something way bigger. Bigger than you, bigger than we, bigger than the picture they framed us to see. But now we see it. It ain't no secret, no. Understand the truth about that question in your soul. Look up, don't look down, then watch the answers unfold. Life is your birthright, they hit that in the fine print. Take the pen and rewrite it. Step out your estimate. Step in your essence and know that you're excellent. Rise, the spirit is teaching. No, I'm not just preaching, I'm taking it all.
Oh, he's so handsome, what's his name? Yeah. Nah, I like dollars, I like diamonds, I like stunning, I like shining, I like $1 million deals. Where's my pen? Signing. I like those Balenciagas, the ones that look like socks. I like going to the Tula, I put rocks all in my we press, they know how I'm coming, we're in the flesh. With a she gon' check, she be talking that shit talking out of her neck, but blood on her dress. They mad when they see Cardi step in the spot. Said that you bought it, we know that you not. I'ma pull up on pull-ups as soon as I drop. Bought a new board, now my could be y'all. It's in my business, they tryna plot. Poppin' shit like they hot, but they not. Just spread it the wrist, the paddock, the watch. We flexin', we know what you got. Cardi the hack, got the game in the knot. Look at your I got him on like this, go ding dong. Must be that whip. Press, 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 press. Cardi don't need more press. Kill them all, put them to rest. Walk in bulletproof vest. Please tell me who she gon' check. Murder scene, Cardi made a mess. Pop up, guess who? Pop up, guess who? Look in the mirror, say yes, I'm the best, 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 best. Way too blessed, 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 blessed. Yes, I'm the best, 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 best.
stronger, yeah. Shemela wila,
already, you know it.
Batman Scoop, Brooklyn, Timberland, whatever I say, y'all gotta do,
Oh Lord, guess who's coming? Timberland, aka Phil Drummond. Who gon' get it crunk like me, Timberland? Who's taking number hoop, aka Fat Man? We guaranteed to make the party people bounce. Fellas say oh, girls say ah. Looking at the cornrows up in the club. Girl, don't be bashful, girl, back it up. Throw it, girl, like it's potent, man. Shake that ass as fast as you can. White girl, shake it like you burning from a suntan. My dog, grip it, grab it like it was a soda can. What you talking about holding back? Better get on the dance floor, drop it like it was a Cadillac. What you talking about cutting the slack? Girl, you better bend that back.
breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Now drop, now drop, now drop, now drop. If you got the fattest ass on the block, now drop. Let it see you see the coochie pop, now drop. Do the snake, do the freak, do the walk, now drop. Yo, don't stop, don't stop. We're eyes, down south thighs, now drop. Waistline, 5, 6, 7, now drop. One time, all in together, now drop. Yo, don't stop, don't stop.
I'll bring you flowers in the pouring rain. Living without you is driving me insane.
I've been thinking about you all night long, but I don't really wanna know what you've been on. I'ma keep on sipping till the feeling's gone. So pour me another one. Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
All I know is hustle. I put that on my set. The hustle till I pass out. On that big boss level, and I put that on my set. On my set. On my set. We sit. 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 Cause I hustle till I pass out. Treat all my shoe boxes like the bank. Cause you can say that I'm the man. Yes, I am the man. The hustle till I pass out.
Come on, it's not part of the script. Who's in charge of this crew? Who's in charge of who is? No, stand up, let's see you. Congratulations, awesome. Well, you know what, I want to thank you for your dedication. You were excellent on the stage. As you heard, we all enjoyed you. Ladies and gentlemen, Converse, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm sure we enjoyed that. That's excellent. I just need some oiling and bits and parts, and I'm sure we might just get there. Now let's go to the fourth category today. These projects are doing excellent work by improving access to services, working on neighborhood levels. Projects within this category identify people who are often overlooked and excluded. These projects work overtime to connect people to life, saving public services offered by local councils and larger charities, as well as offering advice and support at community levels. And we are ever so grateful for all of you. Please let us applaud these 3 projects.
Thank you very much indeed. It's my great pleasure for the category of improving access to services to call out Shri Jalaram Mandir Community Centre. Testing Faith. Next is Testing Faith. And the judges winner for this category is the Barnet Refugee Service. You're very welcome.
Okay, good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank the forum for believing in us, recognizing what we do for refugees and asylum seekers. And I'm sure you agree with me that majority of our clients are one of the most marginalized and vulnerable members of the society, and I'm sure you agree with me that it's very difficult to support this particular client group. Back in 2005, we set up Barnet Refugee Service. We were a very small charity supporting refugees with mental health issues, accessing health services. And today, I'm so proud to say we started with 2 part-time workers. We've got 15 paid workers, over 100 volunteers. And last year, we provided different services through our holistic model to over 2,000 refugees and asylum seekers. Basically, what we do, we believe that we cannot provide mental health support to this particular client group because they come from backgrounds, they are tortured, traumatized, and as a result, we need to pay attention to their basic needs first before we can provide any mental health support to them. So we've got this holistic model where we provide them with advice, we've got gardening, we've got counseling, we've got ESOL classes, youth activities, and all sorts of activities, advocacy. We do like employment and volunteering because lots of our clients come from backgrounds who are qualified, really skilled, but it's not recognized in this country. So basically we support them generally in order to improve their mental health status. Thank you very much for choosing us, and that's it. Thank you.
Very well done.
We will now present our 5th category of award winners. These projects are recognised for their work in interfaith relations. London's neighbourhoods are multi-faith spaces where people with different faiths and beliefs share the same public space and services. Projects within this category build bridges across communities and create hubs that are open to all. And we will now applaud 4 groups. Thank you.
The first winner in this category is the Barnet Multi-Faith Forum. Next is the Bexley Interfaith Forum. Next is the Conservative Muslim Forum.
One thing is that everybody goes on board.
This is your last night.
And the judges' recognised winner for this category is the Open Iftar.
First of all, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say a big thank you to the Forum for this prestigious award. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our volunteers for their countless hours of hard work and dedication. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our CEO and founder of the Ramadan Tent Project, Omar Salha, whose vision and inspiration has not only inspired myself, but countless others up and down the country to host Open Iftar events. For those of you who haven't been to an Open Iftar event, you may ask, what is an Open Iftar event? Well, it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's open to everyone, all faiths and backgrounds, or non-faiths, young, old, those who are lonely, and those who come in groups. And the principle of the Open Iftar is that everyone gets together, breaks a fast with the people who are fasting, engages in deep and meaningful conversations, and ultimately turns strangers into friends. I just want to take this opportunity, with Ramadan being 5 months away, to formally invite everyone in this room to come to an Open Iftar event, whether it be in Trafalgar Square, Westminster Abbey, Wembley Stadium, Tavistock Square, or countless cities up and down the country, and have that opportunity to become friends with a stranger. Thank you very much.
I like that last statement, becoming friends with a stranger. I hope you're having fun tonight. It's really amazing just listening to the different folks here. And do me a favor, don't forget, if you're tempted to leave, there's amazing food at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, this next category has a special meaning to me. And the reason it has a special meaning to me is because we're about to recognize those who are promoting peace and reconciliation. I had a challenging responsibility a few months ago after being called to visit a family, the Burke-Monaville family. The Burke-Monaville family happens to have lost 3 of their sons to violent crime in London. And I buried their last son, not their last son, they still have others, but the 3rd son who had been killed. Not one of them had been in a gang. One was mistaken identity. And I can continue on the 2nd and the 3rd. But 3 sons killed in London. And having to watch the 9-year-old and 12-year-old son shoveling the grave of their father, their young father, made me realize we need what we are celebrating today. We need men and women who choose to stand up to make a difference. Crime and violent attacks send a message of exclusion and tear the fabric of London's communities. Projects within this category support those affected by violence. They bring communities together to stand against violence and promote peaceful relations. So please, let us applaud these 3 projects. Bushra.
It's my great pleasure to ask, first of all, Forgotten Heroes 14 to 19 Foundation to come on stage. Next is the Iman LGBTQI Muslim support. And the judges' winner for this category is Power the Fight.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ben Lindsay. I am CEO and founder of Power the Fight. I'm also a pastor at a church called Emmanuel Church. So hopefully I'll keep you awake as I speak. Oh, well, we'll see. I'll put pressure on myself. Power the Fight was launched after the tragic events of a murder in southeast London. It was my good friend Chantel's little brother, Myron Yard, who was murdered in 2016. At his funeral, his best friend Leonardo gave a eulogy about Myron, his friend, and 6 months later, Leonardo was murdered in Peckham. So you can imagine the collective trauma that we had in that particular part of southeast London. As a pastor, I was praying one morning, and weirdly, the old 80s hip-hop song, Fight the Power, came into my head. Hip-hop doesn't normally come into my head when I'm praying, so I thought this was definitely a message from the Lord. And I felt a strong sense that we needed to flip the words to Power the Fight. Because if we keep fighting the power, without power in the fight, we're not going to get anywhere. The word fight has different connotations for people, but if we're honest, everyone in this room is fighting against something. You're fighting against inequality, fighting against injustice, fighting to be heard. But how we power that fight will determine the outcome. How we power the fight is that we equip all manner of communities from different faiths, different backgrounds to be part of the solution to ending youth violence. We have workshops, and so far this year, 3,000 people have attended our workshops across London. We've developed resources, videos and films, so anybody can get better equipped to understanding this issue. 10,000 people so far viewed our films from our website. We've also liked to build connections. We don't believe this is one part of society's responsibility. This is a societal problem. So we will have parents sitting next to teachers, sitting next to surgeons, sitting next to police officers, because we believe everybody has something to bring to the table. And then finally, we help families. This year, we have financially supported 6 families, and we hope in 2020 to build the first therapeutic service specifically for any family or young person who's been impacted by youth violence. I really want to just thank this forum for giving us this opportunity. We only launched this year, January 2019, and the impact that we are making, for all the communities and the families and the support from the City of London and the Mayor of London, has been amazing. I want to thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that story with us, and I'm sure that we can all do our part to make the city as safe as it can be for everybody. And now for our final group of award winners, project award winners, who are recognised for their work in promoting inclusion. So as we said before, Londoners may face misunderstanding, isolation, or exclusion because of their faith or belief. And they may be further excluded because of other aspects of their identity. and this discrimination may take place within faith groups or elsewhere in society. So projects within this category work at the intersection of faith and belief and other aspects of identity, creating inclusive spaces. We now applaud 7 groups.
It's my great pleasure now to call up people for the Promoting Inclusion category. And the first is Barca UK. Next is the African Portuguese speaking community. Next is Black and Muslim in Britain. Next is the NAS Legacy Foundation Diversity Programme. Next is Sarbat. Next is Speak Street. And the judges winner for this category is the Yog Foundation. Two of them, which ones? Okay, should we leave them out? Okay, that one and Shireen. I'll do all the others. Yeah.
First of all, namaste. The divinity within me salutes the divinity within you. I must first offer a thanks to the judges for recognising York Foundation's efforts in the community. Also, a thank you to the Faith and Belief Forum for putting together this, a wonderful, fantastic event. Very pleased to be here. But the biggest thanks has to go, a huge thank you must go to our volunteers at York Foundation, some of who have joined us here today. Uma looking very shy back there. Because they work tirelessly and selflessly in furthering York Foundation's efforts and the work we do. You see, Seva is at the heart of what York Foundation does. And I'm sure everyone in this room is passionate about Seva. And I can hear you asking, what's Seva? Seva, some would say, means service, but I don't think it's just service. It's a selfless service. It's this beautiful concept where in helping others, in uplifting others, in doing things for other people without the expectation of return is where your own fulfillment and enjoyment lies. And that's what we're about. I think everyone here is about Seva. And we're very passionate about that. So we started about 3 years ago, a simple aim of doing some good. That was it. Doing some good in the community and bringing the Hindu community, which was quite disparate in the Bexley and London Kent area, bringing that together. And from celebrating festivals to running classes, I'm very fond of the classes Deepika ji there runs, which is moral values classes for children, as well as Hindi language, as right through to raising awareness about health and well-being in the community through seminars and campaigns, all free of charge and all provided with Seva. When there's a young girl who I met many years ago, couldn't even look me in the eye when we were having a conversation. She was so low in self-esteem. 3 years later, she's leading projects. She's an inspirational young leader. To another gentleman, these are small examples, who had a void in his life and felt something missing, and that troubled him, and now has rediscovered his spirituality, all because of the work York Foundation does. And that's just a small sample, but this is something we are deeply passionate about, which is making a difference to people's lives. So I'm pleased to say we've grown manyfold in this short space of time, but our work is not done. We have a lot of ambitions. We are actively looking to invest in and establishing a mandir, a temple, and a hub for the community to extend our activities to even more people. In closing, I've only got 2 minutes, so I quote, if I may, Mahatma Gandhi, who famously said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." Thank you.
Thank you. I'm hearing some amazing nuggets. I'll use that for my sermons. And I'm sure, I beg your pardon? Well, please feel free once you've given the offerings. Right. You know, I'm grateful that we've just had that last category on inclusion, because I recall a few months ago, about 2 months ago, I got a phone call from a police officer. And the police officer asked whether I would be able to provide our venue in the Tottenham Town Hall for an event. It happened to be the Hate Crime Awareness Week. And it was for a group called the Muslim LGBT community in Haringey. And I immediately said, without a doubt, we'll provide the venue. So we had the Muslim LGBT community come to our premises. Unfortunately, I was at another event, so came in a bit late. And when I came in, there was a conversation about what was going on in Birmingham. And then there was a conversation as to how we need to be more tolerant of one another. And I realized there's a terminology of tolerance that has been used in the political rhetoric. But today, I don't find any tolerance in this room. I feel that there's a sense of acceptance. And I feel that that has to be the language, that we shift the language and don't allow ourselves get caught up with a notion of tolerance in faith, tolerance and different issues, but a moment, because I don't want to be in any relationship that's built around tolerance. And I don't think any one of us want to be part of a relationship where we're just tolerated, but we want to be accepted. So I'm grateful for those involved in this issue around political, around inclusion across all societies and all communities. So ladies and gentlemen, to applaud everybody that is doing something to make each one of us feel accepted in this great city called London, can we applaud all the projects in their house? Thank you very much. Thank you ever so much. As mentioned by Bushra, this year's nomination process identified some very inspiring individuals who deserve special recognition. So Bushra, we want to invite you now to come and read the names of some of these amazing individuals who are being awarded for their services to local communities. Ladies and gentlemen, Bushra again.
It's my great pleasure to ask these individuals to come forward. When we as judges were reading these people, there were a lot of people, but really working across lots of different projects across London, and very long service for a great many projects. So the first one I'd like to call up, my great pleasure, Ruth Finkel. Father James Leachman. Reverend Herbert Aparanga. Dr. Hajinder Kaur. Annie Barbara Shannon. Pastor Isaac Attram.
You know, this is good bedtime reading. I recommend it. It's not part of the script, but, and those who wrote my script might be challenged by the fact that I'm suggesting, but I do think that you should read more than just about yourself. Just a thought. Now,
I don't know if it's bedtime reading. It won't put you to sleep. It will make you want to get up,
And
visit
do some-
places in London. Yeah, get involved. So maybe for the morning.
Morning, okay. Yeah, so the idea is you're saying they should wake up in the morning, read it, get inspired, and go out and make a difference.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. So in the morning, if they read, okay, no. Now, before we close this part of the ceremony, we want to recognize another special group of Londoners, and tonight we want to recognize 52 inspiring projects and 11 individuals working to make London a place of belonging. We don't have time to mention all their names, but you will be able to find their names on the website on page 31 to 33 of the brochure. You know what? I'm going to make you read this bit, even though you didn't plan to. Go on.
So, recognized individuals and projects, you know who you are. If you could please just stand up, we would like to applaud you.
Lights, please, lights upstairs, lights. All the lights on. We want to thank you. We want to celebrate you. Thank you for what you do.
And as we draw to a close, I would like to invite Dr. David Dangor, Deputy Lieutenant Chair of Kenalisa's Council on Faith. Without David's support and that of the Council and the chairs tonight, it would not have been possible. So, David, if you'd just like to offer some closing remarks. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to give some thanks that I think are well deserved, starting with Babulal Sethia, who was the president of the Royal Society of Medicine and who's still with us on the Faith Council, and of course the Royal Society of Medicine itself. This is the third year that they've hosted us. It's a wonderful venue. It shows that although the word medicine is in the title, the reach of the Royal Society of Medicine is far-ranging and excellent. So thank you for this. I'd like to thank the Faith and Belief Forum. You've heard a lot about it. We have a good relationship with the Faith and Belief Forum, and we support all the activities. So a lot of the smoothness with which this has all gone has been due to Phil Champagne, the CEO, and all the many helpers that have been in the background. About 4 years ago, the Lord Lieutenant of Greater London called me into his office and said he had a vision for building bridges for a fairer London. And he's explained to you a bit about it, but it's a wonderful vision. And part of that vision was to ask me to set up and chair the Faith Council of the Lord Lieutenant, which I have been doing and have had the honor to do. And I think the work that's being done is something that benefits London hugely. And I think I'd like to thank the Lord Lieutenant publicly for this vision, for allowing many of us to be part of this vision. I'd invite you to go to Google GLL Faith, Greater London Lieutenancy Faith Council, but GLL Faith will do, and you'll see a lot. Eventually, a video of tonight's event and highlights will be on there, their newsletters, some of the activities that we do. When I look out here, I see the diversity of London in front of us. London is the premier city in the world for cooperation, for people working together. A third of the people living here, we are told, were not born in the UK. London is showing the way to the world. It's the United Nations in action. I came to this country at the age of 11. I did my primary education in Baghdad. And I felt then, I feel now, London has given me and my family a wonderful welcome. And it is my duty to be part of the welcome we give to all the people that come to our shores to help make London the great city that it is. I was very pleased to hear someone describe himself recently as 50% Iranian, 50% Hungarian, but 100% Londoner. And I have no surprise at his pride in being a Londoner, because we are constantly amazed at how many groups of people and individuals do so much for their fellow Londoners. And this event tries to celebrate some of that activity. It has spawned local events of a similar character. We're hoping to encourage individual boroughs to hold similar events, to try and reach those who are doing all this kind of work and are not being recognized enough. Next year, following in the lead of Maccabi GB, we're going to try and put on a fun run for people from all faiths and backgrounds, all ages. We have the chairman of Maccabi GB, Michael Ziff, here, and he's been very helpful in advising us about what to do. So watch this space. So before I close my few words, I'd like to once again thank the Lord Lieutenant for being the inspiration for this event and for all the other events linked to his building bridges for a fairer London.
David. Thank you to all the Deputy Lieutenants who sit on the Council of Faith and the other Deputy Lieutenants who are supporting tonight's event. Please raise your hands so that we can recognise you too.
Can I ask that you get to speak with them, those who raise their hands, just in case you just saw the back of their head. You would note on there is a badge that says Deputy Lieutenant. Get to know them and find out what they do.
A special thanks also to...
Yes, including the one and only Lord Lieutenant. I told you it's going to be an ongoing issue. Lieutenant. Sorry.
And a special thanks to the steering committee of the Council of Faith who helped to coordinate this event, and to the judging panel.
As we heard earlier, thank you to the Royal Society of Medicine for providing this amazing venue, and the hospitality and the food we're all about to go out and eat. I can't wait for that bit. This a beautiful venue, 1 Wimbledon Street. Thank you to the Faith and Belief Forum. And I need to say this. I was at the dinner. I was at the Faith and Belief Forum dinner just last week. And they put a film on which represented how our young children in their schools worked together. They had a Jewish school work with a Muslim school, and we had the young people say initially there was a distance. Everybody huddled, shook hands, and went back to their own group. But eventually, by the time this program that the Faith and the Belief Forum had brought together, these individuals, these young people became friends. And it's great that we have something so amazing in our city that's building bridges actually for a fairer city. So I really want to thank Phil and all the members of the Faith and Belief Forum and the interns for the amazing work that you do. Thank you ever so much. I do want to say that this night would not be possible without your commitment, your dedication to supporting us. And we want more events like this. How many of you would like to come back? Well, hold out. Before I say come back, because you might be thinking, get nominated and come again. No. But what I meant was, come because you nominated another group and you came to support that group in their winning. How many of you would like to do that next year? I think that's amazing. That's amazing. So we want to make sure this continues year on year. There are many other groups we know that need this celebration, need this support, and we want to get behind them so that London becomes this awesome city. And thank you for making this possible, Edie.
Thank you. We would now like to invite you all into the atrium for food, drinks, and networking. One of our aims for tonight is to connect people who are doing fantastic work. So we'd encourage you to really use the opportunity to meet other people, share contact details, make plans, and continue the conversation. All award winners and recognised projects are wearing badges. If you saw a project tonight that interested you, please go up to them and introduce yourselves because they really want to meet you. As Nim said, all deputy lieutenants are also wearing a badge. They have a wealth of experience in community work. Please introduce yourselves to them too because they want to speak to you. In the Cavendish room next to the atrium, we have a space set aside for discussion. If you want to share ideas for community work in London and talk about how we can work together, FNBF staff members will be there to connect with you. Also in the Cavendish room, we have a media area, which you're welcome to visit. We'll be interviewing people about their experiences tonight, and there's a space to take group photos.
Yes, I know we've recognized you, Jessica, but again, Jessica, thank you for the excellent support, Jessica, that you give. Thank you ever so much. Ladies and gentlemen, just as we close, we're going to invite the recognized projects to meet us on the stage, but I feel it would be wrong of me not to tell you about cheese. So this is how Ala tells me that you make the cheese. You get the milk and you separate the water from the milk, and then you get some vinegar, and then you add some salt, and then he adds some red pepper and dry mint in order to give it a great taste. But the issue here is for this cheese to work with the jam, you've got to do it in the right manner, not the way I just said. So if you're interested in finding how to make cheese, each one of you has something special about you, something different, and it might not be cheese. But when I say let's go out there and make cheese, it's essentially saying let's connect with one another, let's network, and let's make London the greatest city in the world. We can do that, we are doing it, and we will do that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And thank you for an amazing co-host. Thank you so much.